Hi there, thank you so much again for joining me on this channel. As always, I'm very grateful for all your previous views, likes, subscriptions and shares. And I thought we would celebrate International Women's Day by looking at some contemporary religious trailblazers. And I apologise I'm not wearing a purple shirt, which is the traditional colour of International Women's Day, but unfortunately I don't have a purple shirt, but I am proudly wearing my Wonder Woman t-shirt, which I hope is some sort of a decent substitute. So first of all, let's have a look at Buddhism. And we've found a remarkable woman who has helped drive not only her own personal faith forward, but also the Buddhist faith as well. This is Tenzin Palmo. She was born in Hertfordshire and her real name is Diane Perry. When she was younger, she read a library book about Buddhism and realised there was something about the faith that was really attractive to her. She moved to India in her early 20s and was an English teacher for a while, and then she decided to fully commit to the spiritual journey of achieving enlightenment. In 1976, she went to a cave which was about 10 feet wide and 6 foot deep, and there she stayed for 12 years. She didn't sleep laying down, but actually slept in a wooden box upright according to Buddhist tradition. For the final 3 years she lived in complete isolation, producing and tending her own crops and not speaking to anyone. She endured temperatures of up to minus 30 degrees Celsius. Tenzin belongs to the Tibetan school of Buddhism and is highly regarded as an author, teacher, scholar and writer. She founded a nunnery, and she's also one of the few Westerners to actually be regarded as a yogini, in other words, being a master of yoga. There's a wonderful quote from Tenzin Palmo. The answer lies within ourselves. If we can't find peace and happiness there, it's not going to come from the outside. I think that's very profound, that we need to be at ease with ourselves, content within ourselves, before we can find, according to Buddhism, that path to enlightenment. In Christianity, women play a crucial role. They're the first to witness the risen Christ. And during his ministry, Jesus was supported financially by women. Kat ARMAS is a second-generation Cuban American whose work highlights and celebrates that of women theologians. Kat herself is a very gifted scholar. She has made sure that black women, indigenous women, have been given a platform to hear what they have to say on the Christian faith. As well as being a blogger and podcaster, one of Kat's works is a book called Abuelita Faith. Abuelita is grandmother in Spanish, and it's a homage to her grandmother who fled Cuba during political upheaval. Unfortunately, her grandfather was left behind. It's really interesting too how she is working to raise awareness of the contributions of people who are often marginalised for their understanding and interpretation of the Christian faith. There's a fascinating quote from Kat. While the Bible has been weaponized by oppressors, it's also served as a beacon of hope and strength by the oppressed. It's a reminder that the Bible, like other holy books, can be taken and interpreted and twisted for all sorts of bad and evil things. However, when holy books are read in a true light of giving hope, they can be incredibly powerful, encouraging and inspiring to those believers. Hinduism is fascinating in the sense that there are both male and female deities. So, for example, Lakshmi, the goddess of good luck. SHETE is an astonishing woman. She is training women to be priests. There is nothing in the Hindu faith that prohibits women from being priests. Any prohibitions have been due to culture at the time. But what's fascinating is SHETE is breaking boundaries and shattering glass ceilings. MANSHE trains women to be priests, and in her own words, these women are in their second innings of their life. And what she means by that often these are women who have been housewives and their children have moved on, and they're looking to make some kind of positive contribution, not just to their community, but also to the Hindu faith in a broader context. It's also very powerful too. Having women priests means that, for example, Hindu believers who are women may feel more comfortable speaking to a female priest, but also it's helping to change attitudes in India and across the world. I love this quote from her. She says, "Times are different. and we are starting to create new traditions. I love that idea. We think of tradition as being something that have always happened. And what she means by this, I think, is that soon, a long time in the future, people will accept women priests in Hinduism as always have been there, as always part of the faith, and something that doesn't need to be questioned or challenged anymore. In Islam, perhaps the most famous woman is that of Khadija, the wife of Muhammad, who of course was also a prominent businesswoman at the time in her community. AMINA WADUD is an African American Muslim. She reverted to Islam at the age of 20. She's gone on to become a well-renowned professor in terms of issues regarding Islam, gender and justice. She's perhaps best known in the UK for leading prayer on Friday in a mosque with a mixed congregation in 2008. It was a really big deal at the time to have both men and women praying together in a mosque being led by a woman. In an interview, she gave this fascinating statement: the gift of life is presented to each of us so we can be the best of who we are, and the best of who I am is the me that manifests the embrace of the love of God. There's a lot of depth to this quote, isn't there? It could be spun and interpreted in all sorts of different ways. But I think one of the things that strikes me is that no matter what your religious beliefs are, or even if you don't have a religious belief, that opening statement, the gift of life is presented to each of us so we can be the best of who we are, I like to think is something that we can all agree on. There are countless of strong women in the Jewish faith. If you look at the Tanakh, you have Deborah, Jael and Ruth, just to name three. I wanted to focus on the British rabbi NATASHA MANN. She was born in Hertfordshire and from a mixed race family. Her mother is English and her father is Indian. Interestingly enough, she wasn't raised in the Jewish faith. She took an interest after she went to a family funeral and Jewish ancestry was mentioned there, and she began to investigate. Rabbi NATASHA fell in love with the Jewish faith and decided to convert to Judaism. And what's really interesting is that in 2019 she became ordained as a rabbi. That means that she's a religious leader in the Jewish place of worship, the synagogue. And what's quite lovely is that she's actually a rabbi at the New London Synagogue, which she attended when she was a teenager. She has a particular focus on supporting young people, and she says, I really have a drive to help people, especially young people, to own their tradition and feel like it is theirs. I think that drive is what pushed me towards the rabbinate. I think that's really fascinating, isn't it? How she's someone who converted to Judaism, and even though she wasn't raised in a Jewish household or in the Jewish culture, she still felt that that faith was relevant to her. And clearly she's passionate about helping those who are part of the Jewish faith understand and connect with their traditions. There's a wonderful image here from the Sikh faith of some women joining the Khalsa. That is the soldier saints, the group who show their full commitment to Sikh by wearing the 5 Ks. Manjit K. Gill is a prominent Sikh. And I think to understand a little bit of her story, we need to understand that a core part of the Sikh faith is seva. That is selfless service. In other words, putting others ahead of yourself and making sure that their needs are attended to. Manjit set up a charity called Binti, and the idea is to raise awareness of periods, menstruation, and particularly in some countries it can be a source of great shame, and also highlighting some of the issues concerning period poverty. Under the hashtag Smash Shame, it's about making sure that women have access to sanitary products, and of course making sure as well that it's sustainable too, encouraging communities to make their own products as well as education. I was looking at her Twitter page and there's a fascinating quote here. She says, take responsibility for your actions. Look closer and you will see why it happened. It's a really powerful piece of self-reflection, and I think it's entirely fitting that someone who's clearly so driven by her faith in terms of serving others would make sure that their actions are entirely accountable. All these women are in some way religious trailblazers, and I do hope that you take the time to perhaps explore these women further, or indeed investigate your own. I thought it was really important to show religious trailblazers from a female perspective who are around now and doing these things now. There are a great many women in history who have helped to inspire religions, but I wanted to show that it is still going on. However you spend International Women's Day, I do wish you well, and of course, enjoy your learning.